Let's go ahead and continue now that we are on Act 9. So Act 9 and 10 are actually relatively short compared to the rest of them, but starting right off, we are going to just venture off. But you don't go through this way. You actually go through the middle here, and we are going to exit on the far top right off of Highgate. So we're going to go to the Descent. To reactivate buffs, okay. Let's go ahead and resummon our Golem. Some minions you do have to summon again. Or if like you move a gem, you're gonna have to resummon. Let's go ahead and activate this. Oh, also, at this point, they've actually nerfed some of the yellow monsters in this game. I was talking about how like this is like ridiculously hard. But they actually did a forum post and they're like, okay, we made the monsters too hard, our bad. So that is definitely something that is a nice little change. And let's go continue to this supply hoist, and we're just gonna keep on moving down until we get to this like desert-ish area. Continue leveling up our gems. It's a ball side area, which we'll show off that mechanic like later. It's just again, it's not really worth in the very beginning to do a lot of these mechanics other than heist. Heist is probably like pretty decent early on, and then the Tujin mechanic can be pretty worth it as well. Right, but if you're feeling like you're lacking damage, just make sure you use conductivity right before you cast. Like in this instance, we're totally a-okay, but just in case maybe some of you guys are on a 4-link setup still. Ooh. It's a massive amount of burn. What's our resistances here? And we're still good on everything except for chaos. Pretty much just more life is what our character needs right now. And that's what we'll get. We're gonna get a lot more armor as well very soon. Once we get to like maps, we're gonna get an aura called Determination, and it's gonna grant us like 2,000-ish armor. And there's like a jewel that we can get that gives us like another decent amount of armor. And it should be fairly cheap soon, like by the time we get towards like the end game. We'll also still need that Dead Reckoning jewel for the skeleton mages, but that'll come a little bit later as well. So there's the Immortal Syndicate like mechanic. We won't show it off here because again, it's in terms of the rewards, it could be actually not that bad now, because they've actually buffed a lot of the stuff. But our goal is just pretty much to get to endgame ASAP. So in Act 9, which is what we're at right now, there are 2 quests called Queen of the Sands and then the Ruler of Highgate that we will want to be doing. Let's get this waypoint here. Nice, nice. So what we're going to look for is this area where there's these mummies. Oh, it freezes when activated. That's no good. But we're alright. But yeah, this game has a lot of knowledge, so if your brain feels overwhelmed, don't worry. Later, the gameplay actually gets much easier, so all we do is summon skeletons. We don't really have to cast anything. If we want to, we can cast things on bosses, but not conductivity, because eventually what's going to happen is we're going to get this special armor, and the special armor actually allows us to ignore the resistances of the enemies. So giving them negative resistances is not even going to matter, because they're just going to be ignored anyways. So let's see if we can find the area. I hope it's not in the bottom left, but we do need to get like this little like storm bottle, which we'll get hopefully pretty soon. Let's go activate the league mechanics since we're at 61, see if it's dropping anything good since we've hit like the 60 threshold. Man, those things are pretty deadly. Diamond Flask. Can you roll something on that? See if that's gonna sell. Sometimes earlier on in the league you can sell a Diamond Flask for like 1 chaos. So over here is the foothills, which we will eventually want to go to, but there's something on the bottom over here that I'd like to do. It might be in the very bottom left. Okay, here it is. So we just touch the storm weathered chest over here. Get more life. Just a moment. Just reset our stuff if anything died. Someone want 2 of these. We get the Storm Blade, which we can go deliver the quest item. And we will go to the foothills. So now we will go and put in the skill point. So I think last time we left off, we were going like down here for more health, right? There are some life nodes here as well, but I'm making sure there's not any other life nodes that we can grab immediately. I think I grabbed that for the resistances. But yeah, it looks like pretty much we should also look, if we did want to buy something, we could get maybe like 1 to 2 chaos, we can get a immunity corrupted blood. But yeah, we're actually going to go down here. We can get not this life regen, but this actual life here, because there's just one more area down here where we can get some more potential for jewels, and jewels are really good in the game. You can get like a jewel that gives you like life percent, some sort of form of damage. But yeah, we want to get an immunity to corrupted blood jewel. That's the ideal jewel. Otherwise, we'd have to spend a lot more points to get immunity to corrupted blood. I think we can actually go. Yeah, we can go up to the boiling lake. We're gonna be fighting this like chicken-looking thing. I want to defeat the chicken, and 62, 63. The chicken thing will be used for a quest. It has like a giant sack that we need, and we take the sack and then we imbue it with some special thing, and we use it to get past an area. It's pretty much usually up and to the right, unless they've changed it. There's a dead end over there. Here it is, the basilisk. We gotta kill the chicken. And eat it indeed. Grab the crafting recipe. Now we gotta find the powder. So now we get to go back into town. And we can also deliver the item to Beatrice over here. Then we can get something. We're gonna grab this one just because we can get a chromatic orb off of it. See ya. And then we're good. We'll also talk to Sin if we want to, and we'll progress. The thing, we can get the bottled storm. And now we're actually going to be going back to the desert here. So the Vastiri Desert. Now there's an area that was blocked off. I didn't show you it because usually how it happens is people see the area and then they go back to do it. But it's like pretty much to the right of the waypoint in the Vastiri Desert. You're going to click on this thing over here, the Oasis, and it's going to take you to a really cool looking boss. It's a giant scorpion. That's, I don't really care about it. Actually, we can grab it as well. So, I don't... Is it this one? Okay, this is for the Forbidden Wall. We don't need to go here. We're actually going to go down. Oh, yeah, you know what? They have changed this. It used to just be like up and to the left, and then it would loop around. But this is actually a pretty large area now. They've really made this area a lot bigger. Hello, Asthorza. Do I have a guide for this? Yes. The tree, the tree, she is like, it is overwhelming. But yeah, if you are a brand new player, I got you. There's the link in chat. Yeah, it'll get you started, and you'll be able to get the same build. This is a real beginner-friendly build too. It's one of the best builds in the game. It's been really strong for super long. I'm surprised they haven't nerfed it, but maybe next patch they will nerf it. But it will be able to be played this whole league. Like, one thing that I do respect with Path of Exile, unless it's a broken like glitch, they'll leave something pretty OP for the season. So that way, like, you don't have to worry about like, oh, you invested all this time into something and then something gets nerfed to the point where like you can't play it. But they only really fix again like things that aren't like intended. If you're like, there was a way to get infinite damage before with like this thing that would keep on like stacking the amount of stats that you would have, and you would just go higher and higher and higher. And that, like, I'm totally understanding with that ground, that chaos damage. So how this boss works is, you can see we just kind of fought them right there. and then we're gonna fight them again. They kind of do this thing where they come up, they slam. You just kind of have to wait for it though. You can't go way past the boss. You go past the boss, you're just gonna have to go back and wait for it. So it's gotta do this little thing. And you just kill things as you progress. And there's also like quicksand, so just keep on kind of moving. You want to like sink down. Just keep on moving, and you'll be okay. As long as you just keep following it, it will be easy. This boss fight isn't really particularly hard either, but you can see little swirls of like, it's almost like a circle where they're going to be like landing. And then now we can go into the swallowing sands. So don't stand inside the little circles there. But it's a really easy boss fight. It just is really cool to jump. Starting to sink a little bit. Let's go over here. Get our flash charges back up. And they are eliminated. Now we go back into town and we will get a skill point. And later we're actually going to be scaling our defenses in another way. So we're actually going to be getting a block. And once we get block, our character becomes insanely tanky. Next stat points, we're going to be able to get +1 to maximum fire resistance. And we'll get extra fire resistance. Kind of nice. We can also consider getting the life regen. Later down the line, we're going to get... we're just going to use Stone Golem. Right now, we do want the other one for damage. But now we have done that one. So that quest is now completed. That one is... Queen of the Sands. So we got that one done. Next up is the Ruler of Highgate, which is another boss. So we already went to the right. We don't need to get the Boiling Lake waypoint. It's optional. Like, I just didn't see it, and we don't need to go back there. Once you kill the giant chicken, necro stuff is always easier. Yeah, definitely. And this might be the last time you can play this build before they nerf it. The reason why I say that is because everyone plays this build, you know. I'm like, I don't know, sometimes I try to think of, as a game developer, do you nerf the thing that everyone is playing because, like, you want them to try something new? Or do you leave it alone so that people don't get mad? Because nerfs make people upset. For me, I don't really care about nerfs as long as there's something new to play around with. Like, I always want to play with whatever is new. Okay, so also in the tunnel, so this is going to be the Trial of Ascendancy. This is the second to the last Trial of Ascendancy that we got to do in the campaign. The last few, we don't actually have to do any more trials. We can just go do the final lab. We can just buy an item to do it. So we're going to have to eventually get over. Hold on, I got to double check. Is it not like right here? Sometimes you lose out on that, just that little sliver, and that's where you need to go. But this time it wasn't the case. We can't really go over there. Leave it alone, people will get bored and move on. Yeah, I don't know, like, it's interesting design, though. Like, if you think about it, like, what do you do? Because if you leave it alone, people can get bored of playing the same thing. And if you give them something new, they won't even touch it unless you get rid of something else they have, you know what I mean? So there we go. There's the Trial of Ascendancy completed. Unless it's super OP. I mean, I would consider Necromancer in general. Any variant of Necromancer would be OP. The reason why is, like, I have 7 zombies. The 2 skitter bosses don't really matter. A golem. Usually it's like 4 specters. Usually it's like, what, 9 zombies, I think? 4 specters, so that's 13. And then I'll have, like, 10 to 12 skeletons. So the chances of the monsters hitting me, you know, it's not necessarily like 1 in, let's say, like 20, but it's if you think about it, it can be like, if I summon my monsters like forward, obviously the enemies are going to attack whatever right there because I'm right here, so it makes your survivability just go up like crazy because there's just so many things to absorb the projectiles that get shot at you. And you can even get a thing where your minions don't take damage for a few seconds every single time you summon them, and so they're basically immune to damage. Oh, come on, Tujin. Oh, it's Danig. Danig is actually worth doing too. He can give you So we'll do this one. Monsters are always crit. This is gonna be. We're gonna make this one as hard as possible.
Hail.
The reason why is because Denning is definitely worth doing. So, we're gonna do monsters penetrate. Oh, what is this? 40% increase quantity. Start off with more XP doesn't really matter, but I don't really care about that one. We're just gonna do that one extra. Let's do this one. And we'll just do that, and we'll go ahead and start. So, okay, I should explain what Danning does. So basically, he's the one that, no matter what, if you enjoy the expedition mechanic, you do Danning. The reason why you do him is because he gives you money that you can trade in for any of the money. Oh, a burial medallion. This is actually, oh wait, I don't even think I have my thing up. Let me open it up. My little scanner tool called Awaken PoE Trade. We're going to scan this, and it is worth about 3 Chaos Orbs. So we get the Spider Force map too. And we can take his currency, we can talk to him, and I'll show you guys what he sells. Hopefully my face isn't blocking. Okay, so he sells a bunch of these other little medallions that you can buy with his own currency. He can also sell what's called like logbooks, and those things are very, very valuable. Like these endgame mechanic. It's basically what we did, but on a giant scale, like where you place these little things and it makes the monsters harder. So once you're at the core, you want to hug the left side of the wall. Another contract. I probably won't do it, but I was already over here. There's another one. Is it Tujin? Danning. Danning, again, is worth doing. I'm just going to skip it because I just want to get to the endgame content. There's a power core for that, man. So, the reason why we're going to hug the left side of the wall is because we're going to be fighting another boss. The ruler of Highgate. So they have a couple phases. When there's these giant tornadoes, don't stand next to them. They do damage. Pretty fast too. But it's another one of those pretty easy boss fights where, because we have all these minions, the chances of her hitting me are pretty slim. Here we go. We'll get this feather. Alright. So what this allows us to do is get another skill point. So we've got both of the skill points done for this act. We're actually going to look for something in the middle over here for the waypoint, and then we're going to go to the top to kill this other guy. It lets us modify one of the items. So we're going to get this waypoint. I can port back to town now, I guess. I mean, technically, if I really wanted to, I could push forward up into the top right first. But I'd rather just get the skill point. And more life, because this one's big. So we're at 32, 70. So it's almost 100 life right there. Plus, we actually get another +1 to fire res. So our fire res, instead of 75 being the max, now it's, you can see our fire resistance is at 76. If it's 80 or 90 that was like max res, you can't get 100%. The game doesn't let you do it, because you can convert like some damage to be taken as other damage. So now we're at the refinery. We're gonna come up to the boss that has like really nasty shocks, which you will see. And over in the top left, it'll say that we're shocked. And this boss is actually one of the more difficult bosses I would say in the game. 20 minutes in, almost finished with this act. Like I said, Act 9 and 10 are relatively short, but don't think that that's the end of the game. Some people, you know, after they do the final boss, they think that that's it, but no, there's way more endgame content than the campaign content in Path of Exile. A lot more fun things to play around with, a lot cooler bosses, a lot more things to discover. So this is General Adis. He's pretty easy, but I'm not gonna kill him yet because I want to show you guys this. So when this happens, don't stand in those giant like lightning things. This is one of the more difficult bosses. I know I didn't make it look easy, but he is hard. So now you're gonna go to the machine and you click on it, and the powder will drop. So then now we take the powder to Sin, which is gonna be at the area that we were right before that, and that is going to be called the Quarry. Right before I told you guys to hug the left side, talk to Sin. He was gonna open up the Belly of the Beast. Take a second. And we go down to the Belly of the Beast. Now we gotta reach the core. So all we do here is pretty much just move until we find 3 bosses. It's basically the same 3 bosses we fought, but now they're gonna be combined into like a super boss. But the super boss isn't really that difficult. The last boss in the game in Act 10 is a little bit of a challenge. It just does like an insane amount of damage. We may die on the very final boss. We've only had 2 deaths so far. And our third will maybe be the last boss. So we're bleeding, so we're going to take more damage, but it's okay. Pop a life flask, just move on. Watch out for those, especially if they overlap. It's pretty hard. Let me kill this guy. Ooh, he dropped a 6 socket. Nice. Hello, Gandalf. Do we make it to maps? We are in Act 9, so we will be at maps very soon today. Very, very soon indeed. Pretty much once you do the, once you finish Act 10, you gotta do like a little bit more of a few quests, and then you get to do the end game. Is this one? I don't care about doing the abyss mechanic. Am I using the league mechanic? Oh, you know what? Thanks for reminding me. I should use it. I'm trying to do it like at least once a level to see if we're getting... Oh, I actually shouldn't have picked that up. Because all the green ones, by the way, that makes you have to do them. Otherwise, they're just stuck in your inventory. So we will do all the green ones. It's just because it's like a quest. And there is some sort of like heist lore that you can kind of follow. It gets kind of interesting. There are some like cutscenes in game that you can see if you view it. I kind of just skipped over it, to be honest. Like, for me, I don't really mind story-based games. Like, I like Mass Effect, Dragon Age. I never really got into Path of Exiles. I just wanted to play the game because, like, the thing that makes it exciting in this game is the loot, right? So we're gonna go to the Black Core, which is drop down, talk to Sin, and then he's gonna open up 3 portals. So if you remember this area, we've been here kind of before, but this is like a super version of it. So you guys remember the Venn diagram? This is actually one of the harder ones that we're going to be fighting first. Doesn't really matter which order you do it, though. Ooh, that did a lot of damage. The nice thing with Necromancer is you can ignore a lot of this stuff. Like, some of the modifiers make it so you deal less damage, but if my minions are dealing damage, it doesn't really matter, right? Alright, Dodri's Arena. So she does a scream that does a lot of damage, so it's probably coming up. Yep, that's the scream. Just pop a heal when you see that, because that thing can melt you very fast. And then now that we've defeated that one, we're going to go to the Maligro's Misery. The Maligro. So in this one, there are these little, like, purple storms. You don't want to touch those. Minions should be scaled as well. What do you mean by scaled? Like, you mean like to size, or like it should also like make them weaker? I mean, I'm glad it doesn't. It makes minion builds a little bit more OP in that sense. And minions can like, I believe if the map has like a curse, like players are cursed with whatever, I don't believe the minions actually take the curse. But yeah, that would probably be, oh, like it makes the minions weaker. Oh, I mean for balancing, yep. I mean it would make sense because it's like, but I don't know, maybe it's a game design, because there are certain things where like enemies will have extra resistance to, like, let's say physical or whatever the case may be. And if you're just not that element, it doesn't really matter. But this one stay a little bit farther away from when you see all those little like blades that fall down. But pretty easy boss fight overall. There we go, he's dead. Because, and this build is like so S tier in terms of like our gear is pretty solid right now. I mean, it'd be nicer with the ambush, but I'm not gonna complain. Everything's dying basically like 1 to 2 hits. Really smooth. So alteration, left it, not a big deal. Don't ever leave any chaos orbs though, for the most part. Everything else is like whatever. I'm gonna grab these. So the instilling orbs are used for flasks. We'll talk more about them when the time comes, but I want all these flasks will never have to touch again. That's how I like to play the game. If you like to hit your buttons, that's fine too, you know? But I like to never touch them. I like everything on auto cast. Oh, that one melted so fast. She's basically the same fight though. It's gonna be a little bit harder, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so once we complete all of them, we talk to Sin, and he's gonna open up the Trinity here. Let's actually summon more of our stuff. If any of your zombies die, feel free to resummon them. Any of your pets. Looks like these guys survived quite a long time. So now look at this boss. This is all of the bosses combined into one giant thing. So basically we do damage and then it'll go away. But it's pretty much almost all the bosses at the same time. There's a couple phases where they'll go away and summon some stuff. Slowed down, but it's okay. That's a giant like ball. Don't get hit by it. It's really slow moving. I mean, it's giant though, but it's a pretty easy boss fight. One thing that's very, very important: do not teleport back to town. I did that one time, and you have to go through all of it all over again. It's because it messes with the game state. You have to click on the Lily, and you sail to Oriath, and then we're done with that act. And then next we are on Act 10. Alright, so that was a really fast act. That was like not even half an hour. And we finished that act. But I'm going to keep all these parts, like part 1 is Act 1, part 2 is Act 2. So, yeah, we only got one more act left, and then we're going to be doing the end game, which is where most of the game's fun content is, in my opinion. But anyways, thanks for tuning in for this part. If you enjoyed it, drop a like and a way. And I'll see you guys in part 10 for Act 10, and then we'll do the end game content. See you in the next one. Peace.